Welcome to Families in Action on your local hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm Cary Quashen. I'm your host, but I do not host this myself. I host it with Michael Doherty, but we do not call him that here. You know what we call Michael?
What do you call him?
The Silver Fox.
Oh. Ooh.
Can you figure out why?
It must be the nice hair. Kids are coloring their hair that color.
I know, huh? They're trying to be like the Silver Fox here.
That's hip.
Families in Action is brought to you by your local hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. We've been on the air 13 years, soon to be going on 14. Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm, that's very cool.
That's extremely cool. That's excitable. 14 years.
I know. I think
that's
we're one of the longest aired shows.
It might be.
So that's pretty awesome.
Especially since KHTS has only been on the air for 13.
Yeah, well, we started very soon after that. Thanks, Mike. Now you're making me forget where I was going.
Go ahead.
And we want to thank the Goldmans for that and everybody here at KHTS. I mean, it's a message that we give out that we think is super important. We're also brought to you by Action Family Counseling, which is substance abuse treatment centers. We have intensive outpatient programs and outpatient and residentials and everything in between. And then the Action Foundation, which I will let you have the honor of talking about.
Well, thank you, Cary. You know, everyone knows, as we mention every week, that you have been here every Monday for 13 years, going on 14 years.
I might have missed a week or two here and there.
Yeah, but I'm just,
I had a flat
we'll
once.
give you that.
I was out of town once,
We'll give you that.
Okay.
But every Tuesday,
yes,
you're someplace else. You're at Canyon High School from 7 to 9.
I am.
For the
Every
free parent support group.
Absolutely, and anyone with children should be there.
Oh, I should say
especially if
so.
you're thinking, is there something going on with my kid? Come to group. Always go with your gut. Always. I don't think I ever met a mom that had a gut feeling that was kind of off base. They're usually right. So come and we can figure out what's going on. We deal with everything at this group, from self-esteem to substance abuse and everything in between. We empower parents and make a safe place for teens to come and meet new kids and then making better choices.
And as we say, knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. Absolutely. So, hey, I'll be there every Tuesday. Hope to see you there. And then the Action Foundation, we do a little more than that, though, Mike.
You do. One of the things that you have is, I should say that more enthusiastically. Yes, you do.
That was better.
Better than
that
you
was
did.
Good. Wasn't that
yes,
good?
you do.
Wasn't that good?
That was awesome.
Yeah, I know.
That's the Silver Fox.
That's the Silver Fox.
The Action Academy, which is a good thing to mention right now since school has just gotten started. We have the free public sober school for local junior and senior high school students, and you've increased the population this year.
We just did the nonprofit spotlight with Janet, Kathy Hunter, and I, one of our heroes here in Santa Clarita. We just did the nonprofit. Yes, we did the school. I think this is going on our third year, and we started with 12 children, and there's always been a waiting list, so we're now bumped it to 18. So we're super excited we can help more children.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's happening right now. It's in class. So very, very cool. So we're excited about that.
A couple of things, Cary. We need to introduce the folks that are our guests today. We
really
have two
wanna
very
do that?
special people here.
really
Well, they
wanna-
might want to make a comment about a couple of things.
All right, bring them on.
Cary, first of all, we want to welcome principal. She's a principal, Michelle
Are you a
Kranz,
principal?
I am a principal.
I knew that.
La Mesa Junior High School.
Go
and
Lobos.
And go what?
Lobos.
There you go. She's up. She's a good principal, I
They've had some
can
of the
tell.
greatest principals at that school.
I keep saying she's a good principal because, what if I have to show up in her office one day? I get called into the principal's office.
You know who else used to be a principal there? John Krinkle.
No, that's Rio Norte.
Rio Norte, that's right.
That's Rio Norte. This is La Mesa.
I know.
Even better.
I got you. Yep.
Even
Yep.
better. I mean,
was
Rio
just-
Norte is a great school.
I know. They both
But
are. Well, you know what?
There's only one number one.
We that would be yours. But we actually moved to this valley 18 plus years ago because we wanted our children in this school district.
Yeah, that's a
So you're
pretty
right.
popular
Yes.
sentiment.
I mean, it really was a decision that we made. That we wanted to live in this valley because the schools were too good not to be here.
I tell parents all the time my job is to raise their home values.
That's right.
Michelle, welcome to
Thank
Families
you.
in Action.
I'm very happy to be here.
And Cary, we also have one of our favorite guests here who's come back again, yet
One
again.
of our definitely one of our local heroes here in Santa Clarita that does so much for this valley and is not given enough credit.
Probably not. Janine Prado. Welcome, Janine. It's been like a year since we've had you on the show.
Yes, it has
And we were
been.
talking about the same thing. We were talking, this is the 6th one. Last year was the 5th one.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
And you have a new title, is this correct? Santa Clarita Recreation and Community Services Manager.
That is correct.
So what does that mean? If I go out to the park and there's something broken, I should call your office?
Well, basically,
Mike,
you can always call my office. I'd be happy to help you. But basically, I oversee the recreation programming and several facilities and community services for the city.
Well, I'm
but
sure.
I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I know you are, because you two, the two of you, Michelle and Janine, if we could bottle your energy, it would be, we could send a rocket ship to the moon. I'm telling you right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cary, we have an action item that I think is worth mentioning. And as I mention it, we're going to be talking about one of the things. You are actually on TV tonight talking about fentanyl, the fentanyl.
No, the Channel 7 News, yes.
Yeah, Channel 7.
Yeah. You know, actually, LAPD actually pitched this story to the Channel 7 Eyewitness News because their fears right now when it comes to fentanyl. Even their officers, when they go in to make busts and there's a bunch of drugs on the table, thinking it might be heroin, if it's fentanyl and they're touching it, it creates huge problems immediately. They can get sick and go on from there. Wow. So fentanyl it's not, I was going to say a silent killer right now. It's not so silent. Every 19 minutes, we're losing somebody to an accidental drug overdose in our country.
So that
Imagine, think for a second. If every 19 minutes somebody was killed by gun violence, it'd be all over the news, right? Every 19 minutes somebody's dying from a drug overdose, accidental drug overdose. That's not including suicides, homicides, rapes, murder. I mean, I can go on for days. That's just accidental drug overdoses. And right now, fentanyl is a big culprit when it comes to that. A lot of these drugs that these people or kids are using are cut with fentanyl. The heroin for sure. And then now
Is it a filler?
Fentanyl was, it is a drug that was actually created, a painkiller for cancer victims that are really, really sick. It's an extremely powerful drug. In fact, if you get a fentanyl pill, 99.9% of that is buffers. It's just stuff. A pinhead is enough to kill somebody.
It's 50 times
50 times stronger than heroin.
heroin, right?
So what's going on is people are getting, dealers don't even know they're getting it. They're getting it from suppliers that are cutting stuff with fentanyl so that the dope is cheaper, number one, and more potent, number two. So these heroin addicts are going to get it. They, this guy got some killer heroin, man, and they're running over to get it. So, okay, I just better shoot just a little bit less than normal. That could still kill you. So when these guys are getting out there, if it's cut with fentanyl, they're playing Russian roulette every time they use it. And we're losing way too many people, so we have to get the information out. So tonight we're doing a story on the Eyewitness News on that. We're also doing a story on heroin, where I'll be doing an intervention on Channel 7 News this week sometime, so be looking for that.
I just happened to tune across to Channel 7 last night, and about 30 seconds after I did, I heard a voice that I recognized, and I looked up, and it was you.
You can't
They
run,
were running
Mike.
a promo.
You can't hide.
No.
I'm watching you.
No.
I saw you. That's it. I'm watching.
We have an action file item. Listen to this. Pills found at Prince's estate contained fentanyl.
Of course.
Several pills taken from Prince's estate in Paisley Park after his death were counterfeit drugs that actually contained fentanyl.
Counterfeit drugs. I want to say that again. They're making now Oxycontin, Xanax and all that people are going to buy on the streets. They're actually cut with fentanyl. They're bootleg. They're presses these people are buying, and they're selling them as Oxycontin and that, but they're cut with fentanyl, which also then becomes deadly.
Right.
So we're really kind of in a little bit of a crisis right now.
A big bunch of a crisis.
A big bunch of
Many of the pills they found, these were in Prince's estate, there were labeled falsely as Watson 385, according to drugs.com. That stamp is used to identify pills containing a mix of acetaminophen and hydrocodone.
Right.
About a dozen tablets were found in a dressing room at Paisley Park, but the vast majority were in bottles of vitamin C and aspirin that had been tucked inside of suitcase and bags, including one that Prince usually carried with him. The 57-year-old Prince had no prescription for any controlled substance in the state of Minnesota in the past 12 months before before he died.
Here's what's going on right now is, especially here in California, it's actually national. There's a computer program, I can't remember what it's called, but doctors go on it now. So when they're ready to write a script, they could see everything you've already had. Pharmacists they also see it too. So when doctors, if you walk in there and say, I need some Oxy, the doctors will go on this, well, you just had 6 prescriptions from other doctors, you're not getting them. So now that, and remember, we build of tolerance when we're using drugs. So if you're supposed to take 1 every 4 hours, these people are taking 4 every 4 hours, they're running out of pills, they're going to the doctor's going on the computer saying, oh no, you already had too many. So they're hitting the streets now. And because of that, it's such a big business that the dealers are now buying presses and they're making their own pills. And who knows what's in it? But you can bet it's going to be fentanyl and that kind of stuff. So we're losing even more people now. So it's really pretty frightening what's going on right now. Or they're turning to heroin because it's cheaper.
Every single week, there's another story about another mass of overdoses in some town in the United States.
Yeah, it's really crazy. Well, you know, I've been screaming now for the past 6 or 7 years saying that the opiate explosion was going to become epidemic and it was going to become worse than it was in the 70s. I'm right in the middle of this drug war. It's all I do every day is deal with this stuff. So I've been watching it creep up, not slowly, quickly. And it's bad. It's off the hook right now. Well, if you think about it, we've been on the air 16 minutes. In 3 minutes, somebody will be dead. Or between now and when we start.
Right. Yeah, 3 people will lose their life during this show.
During our show.
Exactly what we're
Is that
talking
crazy?
Yes. It's really sad and it's very scary. And it's amazing that there isn't more of a public outcry to do something.
Well, Obama.
I hope people show up on Wednesday night.
Well, they will.
I hope they do. They need to know.
Yeah, Obama just put in, I don't even know how many millions to fight the opiate addiction or epidemic, as he calls it. He asked for $1 billion, got a couple 100,000, a couple 134 million, something like that. So we're still way short. And then when it comes to insurance companies and that war, I can go on for days on why there's so many people using drugs and dying right now. We can make some differences, but lots of people got to listen. But yeah, that's why we're doing the 6th. Is it the 6th? Teens Talk Drugs.
It is.
Yes, it is.
Coming up August 24th, that's Wednesday. That's a Wednesday at the center located at 20880 Center Point Parkway, the 6th one. This is Teens Talk Drugs. Cary, you're going to be there.
I am.
Janine is going to be there.
She
and,
is.
Michelle Krantz is going to be there.
Definitely.
I will be there too. But only because Carrie's going to be there.
I was going because you're there.
Well, it's a good thing we're both going to be there, or just be Janine.
Yeah, she'd really be out of luck.
You'd be on your own.
No, I bet you she could do it without us.
She could do it.
I could
Want
not do
to
without
try
you.
to find out?
No.
That was quick.
I'm looking forward to it. I
Me
think
too.
any opportunity that we can educate our families about what kids are starting to experiment with. And it starts, I'm a junior high principal, it starts sometimes in elementary school.
That's right.
You were telling me before we went on the air that you actually had a student come in and it was a little bit of a suspicious
Yes,
product
already
that he brought
school
in.
has just started and there's already, and that's not to say I don't want to paint a picture because, parents get really scared. Oh, that school, this school has drug problems. Every school has a drug problem. There is not a school in the
Across the
United States
country,
of America that doesn't have a drug problem. I don't care if you pay $30,000 to send your kid there. There is a drug problem. And if you don't think there is, you should come Wednesday night.
How about the Army Navy Academy, Zero Tolerance? They called me last year, said, will you please come help us? We have a drug problem. There isn't a school around that doesn't have one
No,
right
not
now.
at all.
And if you want to know the reasons, I can give them to you. It's really pretty simple, but maybe later we'll just stick with where we're going right now. But yeah, every school has a drug problem. And I'll tell you what, you might hear about it more in Santa Clarita. That does not mean we have more of a drug problem. That means we talk about it more because we want to make a difference. We are making a difference.
We
Janine,
are.
one of the things I was going to say to you is that one of the things that makes this event a great one is that it's really 2 things. One, you have the resource fair, which is a great way for parents and teens to just walk around and find out some of the community organizations that have resources for them. And then immediately following that, you go into the presentation.
Yes. And with that, this year, we've added a different component where we're going to have impairment goggles where parents and young people can actually experience what it's like to be under the influence of alcohol. And they'll be asked to go through various exercises so they'd be able to know that this is dangerous, it's scary. And it really isn't for fun. It's an educational experience that they can actually see. And they'll be walked through the process by a deputy, but to be able to see what it's like to walk the line. How do you feel? Some people experience nauseous after they take the glasses off. Can you imagine being like that all the time and impaired ability?
I've heard about the impairment goggles before, and I think that's a wonderful thing for teens, especially to experience, because they may very well have a bit of a jaded opinion of what being under the influence is all about, and finding out that, hey, this is not any fun.
Right.
And especially when you have a sheriff standing there saying, "Can you walk the line?
Exactly.
Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you touch your nose?" Now that sounds like a silly thing, but I actually did a documentary called "A Drinking Driver Murdered Under the Influence," and I was the director, and I was also the one that was shooting it, and we did it all as a point of view. So I was the person, right? So they put me through the whole thing, and at one point I was doing the bit about touching my finger to my nose, and I had to have my eyes closed to do it, and even at that I was having a hard time. So if you can imagine somebody that was actually under the influence, sounds silly, but it's not easy to do.
No, and it's crazy how many people drive drunk.
Yeah.
No, and we had this thing here in L.A. where what's that? A mother and two
Well,
children.
A
were
mother
killed?
and two children. 8-year-old Patricia and 5-year-old Stephanie were killed by a drunk driver crossing a crosswalk this weekend. I think it was this weekend.
Yeah, they hit them, and then the driver drove a little farther down and ran into a truck.
27-year-old kid killed them both while he was arrested for drunk driving. Mike and I have been trying to and our board op
Justin.
I know I was going to say that are saying this every week. We have an idea. It's not just our idea, but it's something that would have stopped that. And I'll let Mike tell you about it.
You've heard of ignition interlock devices?
Yes.
Yeah, the state actually, LA was one of the test cities here in California, and it works so well that it's now statewide, whereby if anyone is convicted of drunk driving, they must install an ignition interlock device in their car, which is really nothing more than a breathalyzer. You just get in the car, you puff into the breathalyzer. If you are not over the limit, then you're able to put your key in the ignition and start your car.
So if you had a beer, for people who like to have a beer or a drink, and you're legally sober, the car will still start. If you had too many, the car will not start. So you can't drive.
And the nice thing about it is, as you go about your business in your car, after you pull to a stop somewhere, let's say you come into a parking lot, it will randomly ask you to test again. So in other words, let's say you were sober and you drove off someplace you went to, your favorite bar, and you started drinking and you got out to your car, you're going to have to try it again. So it's an absolutely excellent device, and it only takes about 3 seconds to puff in the breathalyzer, and it as an alarm sounds if you're over the limit, and some other things happen electronically, it records it. But if we had that device in every car,
How could anybody get arrested for drunk driving, number one? How could anybody run over two kids in a crosswalk, number two? Because they wouldn't be able to start the car.
That would be amazing.
So we want, Justin, tell her, what do we want?
We want to put these cars stock. Put these interlock devices stock in every car that comes off the lot. We
Can
don't
you-
see why not.
Why wouldn't they come out of a dealer already in there, and everybody that gets in a car blowing it? So what?
And the
Or
cost is
at least any
absorbed.
car, the family that's going to have a driver on their insurance that's under the age of, you stop because I know what's happening with
Well,
adults.
this kid was 27.
But
that
some of
killed
these
him.
kids,
we
they have
want it-
no judgment.
We want it in every car.
Every car would be
because imagine
amazing.
you get in your car, you turn the key. Who cares?
Yep.
If you're not drunk, it's not an issue. If you are, you shouldn't be driving anyways. That means nobody would get arrested for drunk driving. Nobody would get killed for drunk driving. It would stop all
That
that.
would be amazing.
Yeah.
But look how easy it is. Why aren't we doing this?
And the cost is minimal, and they've already run the numbers on it, and within 3 years, the cost to society would be recouped, no problem. And it would basically, as we said, it would wipe it out.
It would actually. The only thing we can't figure out, obviously, is driving under the influence of narcotics, because that won't work. But it sure would kill the drunk driving accidents and arrests.
Interesting. Very interesting.
So are you both for it?
I am a
Absolutely.
huge
Put you in the-
supporter of it.
Put you in that column. Good deal. Good deal.
So I'm gonna start hitting the media with this idea. I mean, it's not like I'm the only one trying to do it, but if we
Great.
scream loud enough, some people will listen.
Mothers Against Drunk Drivers were very instrumental in getting it statewide after the successful trial run. But it's a great thing, and I can see no reason for not wanting to. I mean, I can see some people that say, well, I shouldn't have to do that. Well, but you shouldn't have to also be walking across the crosswalk and get killed by a drunk driver.
And Patricia and Stephanie, 8 and 5, should be alive.
They should.
Yes, they should.
They should.
How
So
sad.
I love the idea of the goggles.
Impairment goggles?
The impairment goggles. That's a great addition, and I think you should probably have a line of people trying.
We
that
will.
one.
We hope to have a line and make an impact so people can have that experience and they'd be able to know. So kids that look to dabble, there's your experience, but then let it go and walk out of the room knowing about it and move forward, being drug free.
We only have 1 minute. We have to take a break. But tell our listeners why parents should go to this.
It's important to keep educated on what's going on. Every day is a challenge, as you hear Michelle's here talking about. Schools just started. You can never have not enough knowledge. Knowledge is power, and it's an opportunity to come with your child. We encourage you to come with your young person so you can have that experience, have something to talk about. Tell a friend.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Good kids do bad things. So not just for the parents of kids who are troubled, every single parent belongs there on Wednesday night.
And I believe all kids are good. They just make bad choices.
That's right.
If
Good
we
kids
can
do
help-
bad things.
Yeah, we can help kids make better choices. Everybody wins.
Absolutely.
So, and again, knowledge is power, and there's going to be a lot of knowledge given out on Wednesday evening. So you all need to be there.
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
And get me too. And you get there early because we posted it on the action thing. It was reposted 700 times. So it was like, really? That's a lot of people reading it.
Nice.
So get there early and get yourself a seat. Besides that, you want to see the resource fair and put those goggles on
Absolutely.
and all that kinds of stuff. You definitely want your kid to put those goggles on because if they're driving, who knows? You don't take anything for granted. On that note, Michael.
Well, it's time for a break. This is Families in Action here. Boy, my voice went out the door. You may
It happens. Yeah, this is Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. We'll be right back.